The Tilton Talk Show on srbradio.com.
Okay, it's 8 o'clock and our very special guest is on the phone right now. A very big Tilton Talk Monday night warm welcome to Curtis Woodhouse. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, Curtis.
Good evening, mate.
Ah, there you are, matey. Nice. Mr. Technical's got it right this week. Hey, dear me. Oh, dear, I'll nearly knock the table over then. Welcome to the Tilton Talk Show, Chris. It's your first outing. Sorry, Curtis. It's your first outing with us.
Yeah, my first one, lads. I'm looking forward to it.
I was trying to kind of work out this morning, because you come from up north, and I was trying to work out what your accent would be, but I can quite understand it, so it's perfectly okay.
Yeah, I'm not that far away.
No, we got some friends up in Newcastle, so I didn't know, how much further up, down from there that you were. Right, Curtis. First question. Tell us about Jumbo V.
Jumbo V. There's not. Yeah.
Yeah, we're here. Yeah.
Yep, we're listening.
Yes, there's not many people that I'm quicker than these days, but I think Jumbo V's definitely one of them. He's a racehorse that that our racing clubs all chipped in and bought, so it's ran 2 races and finished last both times. So
well, hey, that's not too bad.
It can only get better.
Might be a bit of echo on that, Chris, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good.
Curtis, born 17th of April 1980.
Yeah.
In Beverley, near Hull, and raised in Driffield. What was it like growing up around them areas?
It's quiet. It's a market town. Not much going on. One of those places where everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows everybody's business. So yeah, I mean, it's a place where I wouldn't mind my own kids being brought up. It's a nice little town in Driffield. So yeah.
Not one that I've been to. Anybody else been to Driffield? No. I hadn't heard of it until this morning, to be perfectly honest with you. But your early years at school. I mean, you're writing some of your writers that some of your early years were like quite difficult. Your mum and dad were of mixed marriage, which was very unusual back then.
Yeah.
And growing up, was quite tough, really.
Yeah, definitely. My early years were difficult for me. And yeah, like I said, in 1980 in the north of England, there wasn't there was no mixed families, mixed marriages, or anything like that. So yeah, it was people used to touch my hair and things like that when I was in the pushchair and point and like say, "Oh, have you seen him?" and things like that. So yeah, it was a little bit difficult, but it was all I knew. I didn't know anything else, so I had nothing to kind of compare it to. So yeah, it was difficult, but you kind of just adapt to your environment and get on with it, I suppose.
And you made your first footballing debut against Crewe.
Yeah.
Tell us about that one.
Tuesday evening, yeah. It was Saturday afternoon. I was substitute. I think I was 17, just turned 17, and Nigel Spackman put me in the squad, and I think I came on after about 75 minutes. So obviously a really proud moment for me. I'd spent my whole life wanting to be a footballer, so to actually achieve that when I came onto the pitch, it was a bit of a surreal moment for me, really.
Were your parents there at that game?
My dad was at the game. I don't think my dad ever missed a game I played in. So yeah, my dad was at the game. My mum never really used to come to watch me play football, but yeah, my dad was there.
Because your dad used to take you everywhere, didn't he? I mean, even though he'd got no money, he would beg, steal, and borrow to get, like you said in the opening notes in your book, there a tenner, just to get petrol, just to get you to a game. Yeah, we
didn't have much, but obviously I think my dad realised that I had an opportunity of making something in my life. So if we had any spare money, kind of my dad used to have this red Ford Cortina that we went all over the country in. So yeah, if we had a spare tenner, it went on petrol, really.
How does that feel now? Like, I mean, because when you made your mark of football, obviously it was £1 million move into St Andrews from Sheffield, and you must look back, because your dad sadly passed away in his early 50s, and you must look back at that and with absolute admiration for everything that he did for you.
Yeah, most definitely. Both my parents, sacrificed a lot. Whenever there was any training or any trials, I always took priority over whatever they wanted, or whatever my dad wanted, or whatever my dad was doing. My trials and training and things like that always took priority. So it was a massive sacrifice for everybody, really. But I think if you've got a child, I'm the same. I've got 3 children, and if they need anything or want to do anything, then I think you strive always to give them the very best you could. And yeah, my parents definitely did that with me.
Admirable. Sheffield United's youngest ever captain at the age of 19. That's quite an achievement.
Yeah, it's still a record to this day. Yeah, and
it's still a club record, is it?
It's still a club record, yeah, to this day, and I might not get broke for a little bit longer, I don't think. I'm the youngest ever player to win the Player of the Year award as well. I think I was 18 when I won that, so I don't think that'll get beat anytime soon either. So yeah, they're two really proud moments for me. And look, at the time, you just kind of take it in your stride. I'm a young kid, just a little bit bullheaded, and you don't really appreciate anything when you're younger. But I look back now, I've been left Sheffield United 15 years, and it's still a record. So yeah, obviously it's a proud moment. I think you appreciate it more once it's all over.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you joined Blues in 2001.
Yeah.
Trevor Francis signed you, the £1 Million Man signed you for £1 million.
Yeah. I think Trevor was a little bit better player than me, though.
Wow. Curtis, obviously with Trevor bringing you in, were you aware at what stature the Blues fans held Francis in, and did that make the move, obviously with Francis being the manager, even more special?
It was my dad, really, that told me about Trevor Francis. It was a little bit before my time. I didn't really know too much about him, to be honest, as a player. But my dad filled me in. I remember, I think my dad, one of the first things he said to me, he says, bloody hell, he says, he was a hell of a player, Kurt. So he told me a little bit about Trevor and a bit about his career. And yeah, it was, it was an honour that someone of that stature and of that ability wanted to sign me. I mean, he used to join in training every now and again, Trevor did, in the five-a-sides, and whenever he was doing a crossing and finishing drill, he'd join in and do some finishing. And he was still unbelievable. Technically he's fantastic. He just couldn't run, obviously, because his legs had gone, but whenever we did a crossing and finishing, he's the best finisher at the club. He was still, he was still unbelievable.
Oh dear! And of course, then after the Trevor Francis era, you kind of fell out of favour with the club a little bit with Brucey.
Yeah, when Trevor left, it was kind of the beginning of the end for me in my career for Birmingham City. A new manager comes in, and obviously he's got his own ideas. I'd had Steve Bruce at Sheffield United as my manager, so it was someone I knew, and I got on well with him at Sheffield United. We had no problems. Me and Steve Bruce, got on really well. I was playing really well. It's probably the best football I've ever played in my career was that season at Sheffield United when he was there. But obviously when he came to Birmingham City, he was probably thinking, we've got a good player down there, because he knew all about me. But the player that he had at Birmingham City wasn't the player that he left at Sheffield United. My career was already in a bit of trouble at that time, and spending more times in nightclubs and strip bars than I was on the training field. So, yeah, my personal life was already spiralling out of control a little bit. So when Steve Bruce came in and kind of seen the state I was in, really, I think he quickly decided that I had no future at the club.
Again, I read this morning that you went on a 44-day bender with your brother while still a Birmingham player. That's, as you said, probably another record too. My brother was living with me, and I came home from training one day. I said, get your passport, we're going on one. We went international, Scotland, Spain, Cyprus. Nobody knew where I was. The PFA tried to contact me, as did my club. I was the opposite of professional. Steve Bruce finally got rid of me.
Yeah.
I got hold of you, Steve. He finally got hold of you first. And then,
I remember he rang me and says, he said, where are you? Maybe not as politely as that. And I think I was laid on a lilo in, I think I was in Spain, and he just said, what the hell are you doing? When are you coming back? I just said, I don't know, whenever. I kind of given up by that point. And like I say, I didn't realise it had been that long until I had I had a court hearing with the club and the PFA. And obviously they said I've been AWOL for 44 days, which, like I said, is probably another record, but one I'm not as proud of. And
was you aware that you were away for so long?
No, I didn't realise it was that long. I just thought it was maybe a couple of weeks, but I was in a bit of a... I was in a bit of a drunken haze, and 1 week ended up being 44 days, so it's another record that I don't think will get beat anytime soon as well.
What was it that you think tipped you over the edge to push you away from football like that then?
I don't know. It's difficult, really. Everybody asks me, was there one moment? There was not one moment. It was just kind of a lot of it, analysing it and looking it back, I was disappointed of how my career and how my life had turned out, and I think I was just acting up as a young kid, plenty of money in my pocket. I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to do whatever I want to do. I gave up on myself, really, looking at it now, and as a 36-year-old man, being able to analyse that part of my life, I just think I gave up on myself, and just went into a darker place, and before I know it, like I said, I'm doing stupid things like going on 44-day benders, and my life's a mess at this point. And because I wasn't in the team on Saturdays, I wasn't even in the squad or anything like that, so I had nothing to stop me going out. Normally I think, I've got a game tomorrow, I better not go out tonight, but I had no structure to my life whatsoever, so it just spiralled out of control.
Curtis, in your book, you mentioned about I've seen an interview about the game you played against Man United.
Yeah.
And you're playing alongside the likes of Beckham, Giggs, Scholes on the same pitch as them, and not in a fit state. Were they aware? Could you tell that opposition players were aware when you were in these moments?
No, I don't know. It's difficult to say, really. No, no one ever said anything to me on the pitch, and I've not been out the day before that game, but I've been out for probably like 8 or 9 days in a row, and I felt so rough. I remember warming up, not really being able to sprint, because I'm thinking, oh my God, if I run too quick, I'm going to be sick here. And it's just a really bad moment for me, really. That was probably, if not the lowest point in my career, it was definitely one of them. And it should have been a highlight that I look back on now. And even both my boys are both Man United fans, and they said, "Oh, Daddy, you've played against Man United, haven't you?" I just find it really difficult to talk about, because it isn't something I look back with any pride or any sense of achievement. I just look back at it as like, what an idiot. I'm at Old Trafford in front of 70,000 people that have, forked out a lot of money to come and support the team I'm playing for, and it's probably cost them, if you take their family, it's a week's wages, and I'm drunk. I'm not drunk, but I'm in no fit state to be playing, and I look back at it with just embarrassment, really. But it's part of my life. It's something I'm not hid away from. I'm not trying to blam it up or justify it. It is what it is, I suppose.
I think standing up to it, though, and talking about it is testament to your resolve, though, really, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, I'm over it now. I've dealt with all this a long time ago, so to talk about it in my book wasn't really an issue for me. I dealt with all these things when I was probably 26, 27 years old. Once I finally retired from football, I kind of had to, because I blamed everyone. I went through a long period of hating Steve Bruce, and if I bumped into him in the street, I had it made I was going to beat him up and all things like this, So I really detested the man. And Karen Brady as well. I hated her. And I hated everybody at that point. When I went from Birmingham City to Peterborough United, I fell out with everyone at Peterborough as well. I went to Hull City, fell out with everyone at Hull City. So, it was kind of the point of, it was always everybody else's fault. And I got, like I said, when I got to the point where I was 25, 26, and I hung my boots up, I kind of had to acknowledge that my career, going from England in the 16s, 18s, 21s, I fully believed I was going to be a full international, and my career's ended up in the bin, really, and it's all my fault. And as soon as I accepted it was my fault and analysed it and kind of had a little mini breakdown and thought, you know what, it is your fault, you've messed it up, you've been given the golden ticket and you've messed it up. As soon as I kind of got my head around that, and it took me a while to forgive myself, but as soon as I had, I was fine, I'm cool now, I don't look back with any bitterness on my career at all anymore. Whereas for a long time I was bitter towards football. I think I say in the book, I didn't watch a football game for nearly 4 years. I've never been back to St Andrews since the day I left. I've never been back to any football.
Is that sorry? I'll stop you. Is that something that you'd want to change?
I'm in no rush to. It doesn't. It's not a burning desire for me to go back. I just kind of feel like I've just left that period of my life behind. I haven't got any good memories there, really. And that's nothing against the football club. The football club's a fantastic football club. It was more about me and what was going on with me than than anything to do with the football club. The fans are great at Birmingham City. You know, they remind me very much of the Sheffield United fans. They're both passionate, both love their clubs. So yeah, it's not. I don't think I need to go back to exercise any demons or anything like that, because I exercised all them nearly a decade ago. So if you know, hopefully I'll go back to St Andrews one day as a manager. You know, that's what I want to get into, being a football manager. So I'm sure I'll end up back there at one point, but I don't feel like I've got to go back to exercise any demons. I've not been back to any football clubs that I've played for in the past, apart from Sheffield United. You know, all the clubs I've never been to Hull City. I've just never been back there. I just think it's a chapter of my life that I've kind of dealt with, put it away, and I'll leave it there. You know what I mean?
Well, from the hundreds of messages we've seen on social media today and on the networks that we use, nobody's had a bad word to say against you. There you go.
Yeah, no, that's kind. And like I said, it's my life. It's been my life, and I'm sure there's loads of people that have made a mess of their lives in the past and done things where they look back and think, "Oh my God, that much." Some of the stuff I've done and some of the things when I'm reading the book make my skin crawl. But it is what it is, isn't it? You know, I'm a meat and two veg type of guy. You know, you always know where you stand with me. There's never any BS. You know, what it is what it is. So. And that's the way I wanted to write my book. I didn't want to sugarcoat anything. I didn't want to, you know, try and make anything out to be something that it wasn't. It's just all in there, the good, bad, and the ugly. And I think people appreciate honesty rather than, you know, blaming other people for my my problems. You know, they all fall on my doorstep, and I'm cool with that.
I think everybody appreciates, like you say, your honesty and your integrity. You know, but one of the things I did read earlier, it says, going back to the Barry Fry time, when you spent 3 or 4 months out with Barry Fry, contacted me. He was at Peterborough manager and as mad as me. We got on well, and I was his player of the year and captain. He promised me a transfer at the end of the season and then went back on his word. So I downed tools and played at 50%. Peterborough were not a good side and 50% was sufficient. That's just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
I mean, Baz is like, well, you guys will know Baz as well as I do. He's mad as a box of frogs, and I kind of felt like I'd joined the right place because Baz was crazy, I was crazy. I was like, well, this is perfect. I kind of like, you know, got a bit of a kindred spirit here, because no matter what I ever did, you know, I'd never be as crazy as Barry Fry. So, you know, I got on well with Baz, but the reason for when I signed for him, obviously signed me on a free. I got sacked from Birmingham City, so I was a free agent. So Baz signed me. And he says to me, listen, just come and play till the end of the season. You'll do well. We'll let you go for free in the summer so you can get your career back on track. That was the only reason I signed for him. And then when he went back on that, Hull City tried to sign me at the end of that season. They'd just been promoted to the Championship. So I wanted to go. And I thought, you know, Baz gave me his word that they'd let me go on a free. But all that then changed, you know, because I had a good season at Peterborough. I scored some goals, got Player of the Year. I was a captain of the team. So I was doing well. I kept up my part of the bargain, and I felt like Barry Fry let me down by basically going against what he told me.
Modern football, eh? Modern football.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, it's maybe me being naive into thinking that was actually going to happen. You know, looking back now, I should have had something in my contract. I negotiated my contract myself. Didn't have an agent at the time. Baz offered me a deal, and I just took it. I just kind of wanted to get back playing again. You know, I'd been in a situation at Birmingham City where I was earning like loads of money. I was earning good money at Sheffield United, and earning good money would just made me unhappy. So I wasn't bothered about the money at Peterborough. I just wanted to be playing again on a Saturday afternoon. So, you know, maybe a little bit naive by me. I thought, all right, Baz has said that, so that'll obviously be happening. But I had nothing in my contract, and then the season I came back after he didn't sell me. It was just me saying, right, okay, no problems. Now you're going to see the ugly side of me. And they did. We got relegated that year, and, you know, probably a big part of that was my fault. So I was awful that year. I played really bad. I didn't care either. I downed tools, really, which is a bad indictment on myself. But, you know, yeah, I just kind of, I gave up. I didn't try, really.
But then after Hull came Sheffield United's youth team manager Russell Slade, who was in charge of Grimsby at the time, and said to you, come with us and go out on a high. Didn't quite end up like that, but...
No, well, we lost in the playoff final, but it was good to be back playing in a team that was winning most weeks. And I played well for Grimsby because I'd already decided I was going to retire. And once I decided I was going to retire, I felt like a big weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I felt like I could actually go back and, just enjoy it. I was like, I've got 6 months left in my career. I'm just going to try and end it on a high. And so we got to the playoff final and we got beat in the final. But I've got fond memories of Grimsby. I enjoyed my time there, and it was nice to kind of end my career with the person that I started it with, Russell Slade.
And also an absolutely fantastic stadium as well.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, it was empty when we played in the final, like, it wasn't there.
Yeah.
Even though it holds, 60,000, I think it was about 5,000 in it when we played, so it looked pretty empty, but yeah, it was nice nonetheless.
Right, then on to the boxing career. You'd been through a few scuffles as a kid.
Yeah.
And that's probably where you learnt to get it.
I could always fight. I'm from fighting stock. So fighting was always something I was all right at. But there's a big difference between fighting in bars and car parks than to fighting as a professional in a boxing ring. It's not about how hard you are, how tough you are. Boxing's a game of skill. So even though I was used to being in fights, confrontation didn't bother me. I didn't feel nervous about confrontation. But I had no skill sets to be a boxer. And that was really difficult. I literally started with no skill sets, and I was so far off being competent. It was a joke, really, but it took me it was a long, hard road.
Which was more nerve-wracking than your first game for Crewe or your first step into the ring?
First step into the ring. Because my first game, my debut against Crewe, I'd been playing football my whole life up until that point. So it wasn't something that was alien to me. I knew I could just go on. I knew I had the ability and the skills to be able to handle myself on the football pitch. Whereas boxing was complete opposite. I didn't have a clue what I was like. I think we did a 10-week training camp, and then I was fighting. So yeah, that was the most nervous I've ever been walking to the ring for my debut. It was a horrible, horrible feeling. I was petrified. I was really scared, and my legs were like jelly. It was horrible. But then after it had finished, I wanted to do it all over again. And I describe it's like being on a roller coaster. You're in the queue, you're absolutely scared stiff. And then once the ride's over, your initial reaction is, wow, I want to do that again.
So you knocked the guy down twice. Dean Marcantonio knocked him down twice in the last round and beat him on points.
Yeah.
Do you think that was like kind of a pinnacle of where you wanted to be, irrespective of the fact that you was a very good professional footballer, but this is like where Curtis wants to be in the ring? Yeah,
well, when I decided to go boxing, I could have chosen anything really. I just knew I didn't want to play football anymore, and fortunately for my street cred, I chose boxing. But if I'd have bumped into Phil Taylor, I'd have probably ended up giving darts a go. I was kind of, I was just that lost. I just knew I didn't want to play football. I didn't really care what it is I did, but I just didn't want to play football anymore. So, yeah, fortunately, boxing was something that I enjoyed watching. I always liked fighting, so yeah, I thought, why not? Let's have a go. And when I was in there, people look back and say, oh, brilliant, he's won his debut, he's knocked him down twice, but sat in the dressing room after the fight was a bit of a tough moment for me, really, because my old manager at the time, Dean Powell, he's not with us anymore. He passed away not long ago. But he basically rang me up a couple of weeks before the fight and says, I found someone to fight, Dean Marcantonio. So I said to Dean, I said, no way am I fighting a Mexican on my debut. I said, you lot are trying to stitch me up. I know what you're doing. I've heard what this boxing game's like, blah, blah, blah. And Dean said to me, he says, he's not a Mexican. He said, he's a window cleaner from London. He says to me, I've scrawled the whole of the UK. This guy's the worst fighter I can find. So I'm like, right, okay, fantastic. I'll take your word for it. So obviously I'm in the dressing room after, and the fight was nip and tuck until I put him down twice in the last round. So yeah. I remember sat in the dressing room thinking, I've just fought the worst fighter that Dean can find. And basically, up until the last round, it was a coin toss on who was winning. So that was a daunting moment for me, really. It made me realise, wow, I'm a long, long way away from what I want to do. And I got paid $2,500 for that fight. So by the time I paid my manager, paid my trainer, I came out with like under $1,000. So I remember thinking, wow, 10 weeks for peanuts, really. So it was a realisation of I'm miles away from any big fights where I can earn some decent money. And, you know, am I even going to be able to beat anyone that's any good? So, yeah, it was a scary moment, really.
Yeah, we just had somebody on the Facebook page just actually ask the question, how bad was your first opponent?
Yeah, he was... well, I don't want to disrespect him. He was
a window cleaner. He'll lose his rag.
Yeah, he was a lovely fella, nice kid. But yeah, he wasn't very good. But neither was I. So it was a 50-50 fight, really. And I just got the better of him on that night. So yeah, but yeah, he was bad. Now I've watched that fight back loads of times. I watched it about 3 months ago, actually. Someone posted it online, and oof, it was horrible. It wasn't nice at all to watch. I'm thinking, wow, I can never actually remember being that bad, but I was. But yeah, I got there in the end.
Have you thought about how your career would have gone if that you hadn't have won that fight? What you'd have thought of, progressing in boxing after that? Would you have continued or?
Yeah, that's a good
become a window
question,
cleaner.
Yeah, no, it's a good question, but I think I'd had obviously a little bit of media attention leading up to the fight. It'd have been very difficult for me to walk away with my tail between my legs and go back to football after kind of, giving it the big licks in the build-up, really, saying I was going to do this and I'm going to do that, and then to walk away with my tail between the legs. But I'd have had to carry on, I suppose. My pride would have made me stick with it. But yeah, it would have been. I'd have been a bit of a laughing stock, I think, if I'd have lost, because I think a lot of people tuned in and watched the fight and I was going to lose. And a lot of people don't like footballers at the best of times. So yeah, there was a little bit of people tuning in to watch the freak show, I suppose.
Got another question just coming in through the Facebook feed for you. Won't be a second.
One question. On a training run at Blues, did Curtis ever jump in a cab to finish it?
Who's asked me that?
Gabby.
Who's asked that?
Gabby.
Gabby Cabby's put that on.
Yeah, we used to have this run. It was about 5 miles. I can't remember where it was. Round it's West Hills, the training ground,
yes,
isn't it?
West Hills.
Yeah, and it was like up and down these hills. So I got to the bottom of the road and rang a taxi. There was about 3 or 4 of us in this cab. I think it was a Monday morning. I'd been wrecked all weekend, so the last thing I needed was a 5-mile run. So I got to the bottom of the road, out of where Brucey could see me, and rang a taxi. Yeah, I thought I said we went to a place called Beckett's. Is that still there?
Yeah, Beckett's Farm. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went in Beckett's, had a quick sandwich, and then got a taxi back. Just dropped us at the bottom of the road, and then just ran in. So it looked like we just finished our run.
Not a sweat. Yeah. Not a sweat. Yeah. Not even a sweat on.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Brilliant. Your dad then sadly passed away at the age of 51. Where did you get your inspiration from after that? Because your dad was very inspirational all through your career. Yeah,
I think as my boxing career went on, and I was getting better, and I was, holding my own with good fighters. I boxed Birmingham's own Frankie Gavin, and lost on a split decision. I think that was a moment where I started to get people's respect after that. People like, wow, because people were saying, oh, Frankie's going to do this, he's going to do that to you, blah, blah, blah. This is a joke fight. People saying you got no right being in the ring with Frankie Gavin, and then a fight. Then after a lot of people thought I won it, obviously I didn't get the decision, and I think that was a moment where I started to actually believe, I think I can win a British title here. Because even though I'd said it, I knew I was a long, long way away from it. And then once I, boxed against Frankie, I thought, well, if he's meant to be all that, and I've just given him a good fight. I think I can do this. So I got my inspiration from that, and obviously when my dad died, about 10 minutes before he died, I made him that promise that I was going to win the British title, and that was probably something that I wish I hadn't have done, because it was a massive burden for me to carry around for a long time, that was. And it ate away at me whenever I had setbacks, whenever I lost fights. I always thought, like, the last thing I've ever told my dad, somebody who's done so much for me in my life and in my career, the last thing I ever told him, I'm not going to be able to fulfill. And it really ate away at me, and it was difficult. And I wish if I could turn back the hands of time, you know, the anguish that caused me along the way of making that promise was really, really difficult. I used to get really upset and think, I'm not going to be able to do this. Luckily, I did it in the end. But it was something that, looking back, it caused me that much pain and anguish over the years that I hadn't fulfilled the promise I made him. They were tough times, yeah.
And that was, of course, at Bramall Lane.
What was?
Where you fought, was it not?
No. I fought at Bramall Lane before. I fought Frankie Gavin at I think it was at the MEN Arena. I won the British title in Hull.
I beg your pardon.
I have boxed at Bramall Lane, yeah.
Yeah. Just had a message come through. This is one of the best interviews I've ever heard. Really honest and open top man. So thank you for that.
That's very nice.
Right, okay, so on to the troll. Because we've...
yeah.
Well, you knew it was coming, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody asks you, don't they?
That's all people are interested in. I went to a hotel in Rotherham not long ago. I checked in with my wife and I went to the bar. And there was a man behind the bar and he says, I recognise you from somewhere. Where is it? And I said, I don't know, boxing, football. And he said, all right, did you used to be a boxer? I said, yeah, I used to be. So I said, I play football as well. He says, no, it's not that. And he was racking his brains and he says, this morning, you were on this morning waiting for tracking that troll down. I was like, yes, mate, that's me. You know, I've spent 20 years being a professional athlete and all I'm known for is chasing some idiot off the internet. So,
having said that, it kind of set a precedent, really, because these kind of people who do these kind of things are quite often, I don't know, some kind of disturbed, you know what I mean? And to do it and to have him tracked down, but then to get invited onto the TV and meet him live, that must have been, you must have wanted to just rip his throat out.
By that time, I was fine. I'd already calmed down, and I kind of moved on. But Lorraine Kelly she came into. I was having my makeup done, and she came into makeup.
He was enjoying that way.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, it took her an hour to make me look presentable. But she came in the room and says that she introduced herself. She's a lovely lady. She says, "Oh, Curtis, I just want to let you know that we've got James O'Brien on the show as well."
Jimmy Brown Pants.
Yeah, Jimmy Brown Pants. Yeah, I had no idea he was going to be on the show. So she said that we've got James on as well. And I was like, right, okay. And she says, I just wanted to let you know there's not going to be any violence, is there? Because she says this isn't Jeremy Kyle. So she says we've got no security here whatsoever. So I said, well, I'll be honest with you. I said, if he comes out and starts being Larry, then I'm going to take him out on your show live on TV. He's going to get knocked out.
Thinking of figures.
Yeah, so she says, well, I spoke to James, and I've never even seen him to this point in the flesh. Said I spoke to James. He said he just wants to come on and apologise. I said, well, if he does that, we've got no problems. But if he doesn't, then you better get ready because there'll be some furniture getting moved around. So he came out, and I'll be honest with you, when I seen him, I felt sorry for him. He was like a real frail little wimp, and he was shaking, he was petrified. I think he thought I was going to stick one on his chin. So a little part of me felt a bit like a big bully, really. Well, I'm only 5'6" myself, but he came out and he was an absolute bag of nerves. But I heard he got paid 500 quid for it, so he didn't do too bad out of it himself.
No. And you got 2.5K.
I got 2.5K. I got more going on that stupid show than I did for a lot of my fights.
That was going to be my next point, but you beat me to it. Nice one. Oh dear. However, it was a stark lesson to these kind of people that this behaviour just isn't acceptable.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, he used to. Well, I get on Twitter all the time. You're a rubbish footballer. You're a rubbish boxer. That's water off a duck's back to me. It doesn't bother me at all. But this guy had been how it came to my attention to start with. I put a tweet out, a pretty mundane tweet saying, just done the school run, on my way to the gym, blah, blah, blah. and he sent one back saying, "You want to be careful where you send your kids to school because you never know who's watching." That's what he said.
Oosh.
So that's what brought him to my attention. I thought I better keep my eye on this guy, and he carried on saying, stuff about my family. And the thing is, the reason why I felt like I've got to deal with this is, I don't know who this James O'Brien, this Jimmy, whatever he was. I have no idea who this guy is. Now, this guy could be, I'm looking at it as like he's just being an idiot on Twitter. This guy could have been deadly serious.
Yeah.
When I'm out one day, he could be trying to come round to my house or anything. So I just thought, if something ever happened and I'd not dealt with it, that's something that I've got to live with for the rest of my life. So I was willing to deal with it there and then. I'm going to find this guy, and I was going to. Well, I won't say what I was going to do, but it wouldn't have been. It wouldn't have been typing much on Twitter after I'd finished with him anyway. So, but and in the end, by the time I got there, and my sense kicked in because obviously the whole of Twitter's then following. I'm thinking, blooming heck, there's going to be about 50,000 witnesses to a murder here. So I thought I better calm down.
So you decided to put £1,000 bounty on his head?
Yeah, put £1,000 bounty on his head, and someone grassed him up within about 5 minutes. So,
right.
which was funny. And they gave me. I knew so much about him. They gave me like his name, his address. They told me what football team he played for. Then they sent me the fixture list from that football team, so I knew where he was going to be every Sunday. So he was in pretty deep, yeah.
Hmm. At least the law's tightened up on things like that now anyway. So there's new laws to prevent idiots like that from doing that kind of stuff anymore.
Yeah,
which is can only be a good thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so on then to what you're currently doing, manager at Bridlington.
Yeah, I went away in the summer. I've done all my coaching badges. So I'm fully qualified now to work in league football.
Well, nobody would not give you one, would they? You know what I
mean? Yeah. So, I think the reason I'm managing at the level I'm at now is I think it's important for me to kind of learn my trade. To put solid foundations in place. So when I do get an opportunity in the league, I'm ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but I'm enjoying it. We've had a good start. We've played 3-1-3, so it's going okay. And yeah, it's something I'm passionate about. Like I said, when I walked away from football, if someone had said to me, "Oh, you'll end up being a manager," it'd have been the furthest thing away from what I wanted to do. But I had time to go away from the game and fall back in love with it. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I enjoy being a manager. I enjoy the buzz it gives me. So yeah, let's see what it takes me, I suppose.
So what are your aspirations now then? You want to get back into league
yeah,
management?
Yeah, that's the long term aim is to get into league management and have some success in it. I want to win things. I want to progress. So yeah, that's the plan.
I think one of the beauty things is that if you spot a player who's going off the rails, A, you'll spot him quickly, and B, you'll know how to deal with him.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I say it even to the lads now. So listen, whatever shortcut you're thinking of taking, I've already taken it. Whatever bad road you want to go down, I've already ran down it, sprinted down it. All the bad doors you're thinking of walking through, I've already booted my way through them. So, I'm there. If you want to talk to me, you can talk to me. If you need any help, I believe even though I'm only 36, I've lived the life of probably a 60-year-old man. I've experienced a lot of things. I'm a very well-rounded human being now. So I believe a big part of managing is man management, and I believe that's where my strength is.
How do your players take to you?
Have they what?
How do your players take to you? Being an ex-pro.
Oh, we've played 3-1-3, so so far so good. But yeah, no, like I said, my standards are very high. I don't like people dipping below them. I'm quite strict. I'm a very hard taskmaster. So I can imagine at times I get on their nerves because I demand a lot. And that probably comes from my own career, looking back at my own career, thinking, God, if I'd have had a bit more discipline and a bit more, I'd have done so much better. So now I demand that in my own players. Nothing less than 100%. If they do less than 100%, I want to know why.
Played 3-1-3. Do you fancy a crack at the England job?
I think I'm overqualified for the English job.
Yeah, that was one of our talking points earlier. It's a bit of a mess at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
That's another thing. We'll get back onto that one shortly. For me, what summed it up was the last bit of text that I read, and it kind of sums you up and where you are now, I think. I've got good experience in football and life too. My path has not been a conventional one, but with my love for football back, I'm looking for an opportunity to manage again. I'm 36. There's plenty of time.
Yeah. No, part of that, and that is, like I said, a lot of the things I speak about in my book as me as a 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old, and I'm sure you guys are different people now to what you were at 20 years old.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I'm far better looking.
And I'm exactly the same, you know. I'm a different man. I've been through all the rubbish. I've been through all the crap, and I'm good now. My life's good. You know, I'm a family man. I'm pretty boring. There's not much exciting going on in my life. You know, I might have a couple of pints on a Sunday while I'm watching the football, and then I'll be home for my Sunday dinner. You know, I'm pretty pipe and slippers, man. You know, I've thrown myself into football management. I'm a bit obsessive about it. You know, I go and watch games. I'm watching training sessions. I want to be the best at it. Just like when I went into boxing, I didn't just want to box. I want to win something. And I'm the same with football management. I want to win. I want to excel at it. So, you know, the thing that boxing taught me is if you dedicate your life to something and you're willing to do more than the next man, you'll be successful. So that's what it's taught me. So that's now what I'm doing into my new profession, which is football management. I'm giving my life to it, and if I give it everything, there's no reason why I won't be successful. You know, I know football inside out. I've played at every level the game's got to offer. I've got my qualifications with my badges. All I'm waiting for, all I need now is my experience, which I'm building, and then wait for an opportunity to come up.
Brilliant.
Just a couple of questions on the Facebook, one serious, one not so. Does Curtis see having a job as a manager like being given a second chance in football? And the other one, if you could go on the lash with any player you've played with, who would it be?
I've been on the lash with most of them. But yeah, regarding the football management, yeah, I've got a lot of unfinished business in football, whereas boxing, I reached my pinnacle. Yeah. You know, I got to climb my mountain at boxing, so I can leave it. I'm content with what I did in my boxing career. Football, I underachieved massively, and I believe I've got a lot left to give. You haven't seen the best of me in football. I always, like I say in the book, my dream was always to play for Liverpool and England. That's all I wanted to be. I wanted to be John Barnes. I dreamt of being John Barnes my whole life. You know, I just want to. I definitely believe I've got a lot of unfinished business in football. I always thought my highlight of my life was going to be professional footballer. I thought that was my calling. But now looking at it, I think I've been through all this rubbish, which I think will make me a fantastic manager. You know, my life experiences are like nobody else's, so I can call on stuff other people can't call on. And I believe that'll give me the edge in football management. And yeah, I've got unfinished business, definitely. I'm itching to show what I can really do in the football world.
You sound absolutely and utterly determined to make it as well.
Yeah, I am. Like you said, a lot of it is, you know, I've got unfinished business, and a lot of it is what I've learned throughout my life is there is no shortcuts to success. I know because I've tried every one. Like I said earlier, if there is a shortcut, believe me, I'm not running the 5 miles. I'm ringing a taxi. You know, if there is a shortcut to be taken in my football career, I took it, and it ended up being washed up at 26. So I understand that there is no shortcut to success. My boxing career taught me that, and my football career taught me that, and that's what I'm taking into my management. I'm determined. I'm dedicated to making it a success.
Question from Ian Dawson. Are you interested in the Villa job?
Definitely not, no.
Hey! Once a blue, always a blue.
For us, yeah.
Once a blue, always a blue.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be very well received at Aston Villa being a former Birmingham City. But I've heard Steve Bruce is a
I was
favourite.
just going to say they might have one in a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, it's a massive football club, and to see the demise is crazy, really, because Birmingham have kind of Villa have always been able to, give the Birmingham City fans stick, and now the boot's on the other foot. So
and we're loving it.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm going to say, well, I'm sure the Birmingham City fans will be loving it, and my wife, all their family are Birmingham City fans, so she's a Brummie, so they're all loving it. So it's nice that they can have their little bit of fun for a bit. But regards managing Villa, I'll pass on that one, I think.
Any reasons?
None that I can say on radio.
Okay. we won't press you too hard on it.
Yeah.
All right then. Well, what an interview that's been. Absolutely, really appreciate your time, Curtis. Thanks ever so much.
No, thanks for getting me on. I appreciate it.
If you're in the area ever on a Monday night, you'll always be welcome.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm sure you do come down from time to time with your missus being a Brummie, so if ever you're in the area on a Monday night, you're very welcome to pop in. We do this every single Monday. This is the fifth year that we've done it for now. And we use the same sort of thing as you're using in football management: grit, determination, and the art and desire to do it.
That's all you need.
That's all we need. We don't get paid for it. We don't need the money, do we?
Nah.
Yes. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, Curtis Woodhouse. Thanks ever so much, Curtis. Bless you. Take care, mate.
The Tilton Talk Show on srbradio.com.